Welcome to Trade of the Week with me and Taoleng Lechela. Now up for analysis this week, financial services group Old Mutual, mining giant Kumba Iron Ore and global food services leader Bidcorp. Joining us to unpack these counters is Rob Pietropaolo, co-head of trading at Unum Capital. Rob, thanks so much for your time this afternoon. Now, local is lekker with your picks, right? SA Inc. names as well as a miner. Is the selection by any chance influenced by the rally we just saw in the JSE?
I think it's more influenced by it's been very difficult to pick stocks. It's been relatively easy to trade inside the gold and the PGMs, inside the volatility, but to try and diversify a little bit and trying to find good stock picks recently over the last rally has been quite tough. So I think just looking in different sectors probably a good idea at the moment. And as we see today, the market's pulling back. So it's been really tough for stock pickers, I think, over the last couple of weeks. All right, so you are finding value in financial services group Old Mutual. Fundamentals look supportive. The short-term insurance benefiting from a benign environment. There's also been seeing strong equity markets. Talk to me about what the technical picture looks like. Yeah, so there's been a really nice development since April. If we just look at the charts, not going too far back, what is encouraging, I mean, Old Mutual has been under pressure for a very long time. It's probably been one of the most boring stocks on the market. But if we just take a look at what's happened since April, it's started to establish quite a nice upward trend, which is encouraging for traders especially. And if you've been holding Old Mutual, you like to see it go up instead of hovering around that 12.50 mark for a very long time. So we can see there is a trend that started to establish, and we're starting to see higher lows, which is encouraging. And the stock is starting to come out of this oversold territory, oversold environment. But what was encouraging for me was the price action yesterday. So they're just pointing out those higher lows that we've been seeing, and they started to occur more and more often. Yesterday's rally was encouraging, and that's why I picked it. It closed at 13 Rand 88, but a really strong rally yesterday on its own steam, and it managed to close above that 50-day moving average. And again, coming out of oversold territory. So I can't see, it has been picking up resistance at around that 14 Rand level, but the setup as it is now, I would not be surprised if we start seeing higher highs coming in from now as we go into December and hopefully get that Christmas rally that everybody talks about every year into January. So I really wouldn't be surprised if the stock starts to make higher highs instead of us just sitting there watching it hovering around the same level. So as I said, I mean, my stock pick, I don't know if we got there today yet. I did see it hovering around 13 Rand 40, so a little bit of a pullback today. But if you can, 13 Rand 50, if we do get 13 Rand 40, to me it's a no-brainer. We are trying to pick it up very close to that trend line. But after yesterday's rally, I don't know if that's possible. So maybe pay up a little bit, because I do think there's some good upside for short-term traders. I keep saying it, it's called Trade of the Week, not Trade of the Year. So fair. So for shorter-term traders, I do think this is a buying opportunity. So my first pick for the week is to try and get Old Mutual as close to 13 Rand 40 as possible. You might have to pay 10 cents up today. Yeah, not much. For a take profit above 15 Rand, and I don't think that's too demanding. For a 12.5% rally going into the year end or even into January, I think isn't too demanding. And then the stop loss nice and tight. The minute it breaks that trend, you're wrong. And I would be getting out of the stock at 12 Rand 85, because then it's back in that zone that tests everybody's patience. So that's my first one for the week. And I think 12% move on the stock isn't too much to ask. I mean, Rob, for a counter that was trading at around 30 Rand in 2018, getting it for around 13 Rand 40, 13 Rand 50,
really is a bargain. We are seeing some developments happening there with the launch of OM Bank. So lots to look out for on that front. Let's get into your second pick, which is Kumba Iron Ore, right? Operational efficiencies looking better. Logistics also help lift sales, where we're seeing improvement at Transnet, even though production took a bit of a dip in Q3. Your analysis on that counter?
Yeah, and I think also we mustn't forget that things are starting to warm up between China and the US.
Yes.
And I think this tariff negotiation story is also going to benefit Kumba Iron Ore. But let's try and stick to the technicals. Also interesting, it is a very well-known stock for being volatile.
Yeah.
So you do need to have your hat on quite correctly when you start trading in Kumba. You can see those very big, long candles, which shows very wide price action in a trading session. But again, another interesting development that's happened over the last while. Very interestingly, the stock has tried to consolidate since August. And it's been trading in a very tight range. Interestingly enough, at the beginning of the month, we see the stock or the price bouncing right out of that consolidation zone, which is quite bullish. And I do think that has to do with the recovery in the price of iron ore.
Yes.
But again, we're trying to stick to the technical. So it has broken out, in my view, and it's established a new support for the year at around 330 Rand. It is a little bit overbought at the moment, so you would be looking for a dip to try and buy it. You don't want to buy it at the high, and you can see that it started pulling back over the last sort of 10 trading days. And it's gotten to a very interesting level where it's coming back down just to retest that new support that was established a few days ago. And this makes the stock very interesting for me. So I'll wait for the selling to stop a little bit.
Yeah.
I think today it's down another 2.5%, which gives us the opportunity
to buy.
buy. So you should never be afraid of a pullback, and I think this pullback is not going to be a dangerous one.
Especially now that you're, mentioning those tensions between China and the US somewhat subsiding. While the growth picture doesn't look too great, I guess that also just bodes well for the counter.
Yeah, and again, I think we do get a melt up going into the end of the year. Markets were very heated, let's be honest, over the last couple of months, with everyone hitting all-time highs, including the JSE. So a little pullback is healthy. I mean, how else do you get new money in the market? And I think this is the time. Let's hopefully catch that rally. So if we just zoom out on Kumba, you can see that it's come down from quite elevated levels. It found resistance the last time around at around 380 Rand a share. And I do think that if the trend continues and, as you said, the fundamentals are in place, the technicals will obviously follow. And 380 Rand after establishing new support this week, I think is a really, really interesting target for me. And I would be quite bullish on the stock to get there going into the end of the year and even into the first month of next year. So again, this is what I'm looking for. Trying to buy it today at as close to 330 as possible.
Okay.
You might have even gotten lucky this morning at around 325 Rand. You can then adjust your stop loss. So we could adjust that a little bit. So I think 325 Rand was hit this morning. I mean, it's slightly below. So we can just adjust those figures a little bit. But 330 was a very comfortable level for me to buy. And 15% rally up to 380 Rand. The stock has been under pressure for a long time. It was directionless, but now if we look at that sort of flag at the top, we've got direction here. It's telling us it wants to go higher.
Yeah.
And I think we've got to follow that because the buyers have well and truly stepped in and pushed it back up above that consolidation zone.
Yeah, fundamentals look well, and surely the technicals will follow suit. All right, let's get into your last pick, which is Bidcorp. I'll start with the fundamentals, of course. What has surprised me with Bidcorp in particular is that when you look at their earnings from about, I guess, maybe 2020, right? We were seeing growth in profits in the double digits. But as we moved over to the, I guess, after the post-lockdown hype kind of died down, we're now starting to see single-digit kind of growth. Are you concerned about that, or is this just a normalization of those numbers?
It shouldn't be a surprise because Bidcorp's reporting to their credit is very transparent. And they told investors that they should not expect these double-digit numbers to be the norm. And they prepared the market for these single-digit growth numbers, the environment, especially the economic environment, putting pressure on their businesses. And I think it shouldn't be a shock or a surprise, but if we just move back to the technicals, and this is where we're looking for the opportunities, you can see that the stock itself has definitely got a level. There's no surprises here. So it's notoriously been a very difficult stock to pick levels to buy, especially when it went up to that June peak of close to 500 Rand. Where do investors get in? And in this case, with Bidcorp, patience is your friend. So you can just see very clearly that there's a very defined level where investors start accumulating, institutions start adding this to their portfolios. So there's a multiple bottom here at around 415 Rand. I would probably call it at around 410, but I mean, we're not going to split hairs for 5 Rand on a 400 Rand stock. Closed yesterday at 417 Rand, which also gives me a level of comfort to even start accumulating. And this I would even peg as a more longer term hold. I don't think the bounce is going to be that strong going into the end of the year, but investors have to get used to taking little bites of this apple because fundamentally the business is good, very well diversified, technically a very sweet level for accumulation of stock. And I don't think going into the end of the year that you'd be sorry owning this. So again, a multiple bottom at around 415 Rand. If you're looking to pick up, this would be the level. It's a notorious level for the stock. A small bounce of around 8.5% to 9% takes us to 445 Rand. So for the short-term traders, if you want to be in and out of the stock by the end of the year, you're looking for 8%. Longer-term investors, I think there's much more upside to the stock going into the new year as the fundamentals improve. We are seeing improvement, especially in the currency and in across their businesses. So again, if you wanted to know when's a good time to buy Bidcorp, I think now is the best time to buy Bidcorp. Very easy for short-term traders, a break of that yellow support line, 403 bailout. If you're a longer-term investor, don't let the noise bother you. I think the stock gets much, much higher going into the new year.
So one you can trade and one you can hold for the long term. And just a quick one before we wrap it up. Now, the company's international footprint is a big part of its story. Are you seeing any technical hints that currency volatility is maybe influencing price?
Absolutely, and that is probably the case for most of our stocks. It is a rand hedgy type of business. Most of their revenue comes from offshore. Again, I think if you've got faith in the rand, locally their businesses do well. The rand has been extremely strong, and it notoriously is strong over the Christmas holiday period, historically. But again, fundamentally, the businesses are good, and I think as the global picture improves, so does Bidcorp.
All right, let's leave it there, Rob. Thanks so much for your time and sharing your insights with us today. That was Rob Pietropaolo, co-head of trading at Unum Capital. And that's all for this week's segment, but do stay tuned for lots more coming up right here on Business Day TV.